Right now the time is 6:38. Some showers potentially today, but not like what we saw last night.
And the lightning, the hail, most of central Georgia saw it yesterday, generally speaking, along and east of Interstate 75. But then the interesting thing was, on the backside of the storms, the clouds we saw here in Macon and then in parts of Houston County. We saw a ton of pictures shared with us in the 13 WMAZ Weather Network Facebook group. Lots of people asking what types of clouds these were. They look like cotton balls in the sky, right? Well, they're called mammatus clouds, and they are formed by sinking air and powerful storms, which is exactly what we saw yesterday. So thank you to Nisi Selby for sharing this with us in the 13 WMAZ Weather Network Facebook group. Of course, if you see something neat, you can always share it with us. There's my Facebook page there. Just search meteorologist Alex Forbes. You can also find me there on Twitter and Instagram. All right, let's check out what's going on this morning. We're looking live in Athens again, and we're finding low clouds up there. Some of that here in central Georgia as well this morning, with the temperatures generally speaking in the 60s. We're also much drier this morning in central Georgia than we were yesterday, and even through the overnight hours. We saw a handful of the storms continue through the overnight, and it brought a ton of rainfall out to the east. Wrightsville over towards Swainsboro and Soperton, over 2 inches of rain out there, close to 2 inches in parts of eastern Bibb County over the past 24 hours. If you're in Crawford, Taylor, or Monroe counties, you might be going, what in the world are you talking about? In fact, no rain measured there yesterday or within the past 24 hours. 65 now in Macon, 66 in Warner Robins, 70 in Dublin, 69 in Wrightsville, 68 in Swainsboro. And across the southeast, one severe thunderstorm warning just south of the Georgia state line now. A bigger complex of storms back into Arkansas, but generally speaking, we are quiet across Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi. So future view today, mid-80s by the noon hour. We might scrape 90 in a handful of spots. I think I've got 91 in Macon for the high temperature today. A couple scattered showers will be possible before we're down in the 70s by 10 o'clock tonight. For football Friday night, starting off somewhere near 90 with scattered showers around. Sunsets at 7:50 tonight. Most of our games kick off at 7. And then as we wrap things up, partly cloudy skies with a temperature of 75. Then into tomorrow morning, talking about mid-60s here in central Georgia before we get into the 80s and maybe a few 90s tomorrow afternoon. A 20% chance of rain. Down into the 70s and 60s for Sunday morning before a slightly better rain chance for Sunday afternoon at about 30%. So 88 for Saturday, 86 on Sunday. I would say it's a pretty normal September weekend by central Georgia standards. Let's talk about Mercer football. They are back for the first time at home this season. Five Star Stadium, the place to be. Kickoff at 7 p.m. Temperatures in the 80s giving way to 70s by the time we get into the later hours. Watching for the chance of a couple scattered storms there as well. Now look at this, powerful Category 5 Hurricane Lee out in the Atlantic. You can see the eye beginning to close. I believe it's about to go through what's called an eye wall replacement cycle, which means the wind field is actually only going to grow. It is a Category 5, and the plan is for it to stay a Category 5 through the weekend before it reaches Category 4 status by the time we get to the beginning to middle parts of next week. You see that bend there in the cone? The hope is that it makes a northward turn there. The models are still indicating that, but we've got a long ways to go before we can lock that in. Back here in central Georgia, 80s through the weekend, 90 on Monday, 90 on Tuesday. A slightly better rain chance by the time we get to Thursday. The hope is that is a stronger front coming into central Georgia that will drop our temperatures as we get into the following weekend.